NEWS.MC on Monaco Info is brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties. Our exclusive interview with the personalities making the Principality.
My name is Riccardo Giraudi. I'm the CEO of Giraudi Group. So the first part of my life was actually very local. I was born in Italy, but my parents were already residents in Monaco. So I basically grew up in Monaco. I went to a school in the Rocher called Le Grand Cours Saint-Maur, actually, because there was the Petit and there was Le Grand, and I was going with the schools, and we still had the nuns. So the nuns were giving me French lessons. So that was really the beginning of what I remember. Monaco was Le Rocher and the nuns. I actually really grew up here. So I went to the French school until I was 12 years old and 13, and then I really didn't like it. It was really not for me. The mentality was wrong. I didn't like it. It was very rigid, very strict. And my mother, being British, she convinced the family that I should try the first ever American school. I don't know if you remember, but in the stadium, there was the first American school. So I went there and I did the last year, it was 5th grade. Then Monaco didn't have school anymore, so I had to go to Nice. So every day we're going to Nice, commuting to the American International School. And that's really how I really got to speak English and get more of an international education. But yes, I was commuting every day, back and forth from Monaco. I did not project anything. I did not know what I wanted to do because growing up from a very strong Italian family, I always thought that I had to take over my dad's position. And he was a beef trader. And so I never considered anything else. I was brought up with the idea to come into the family business. It was a very small family business at the time, but my father was very happy with it. So I just went through school and I didn't really think so much about it. I did at university, and then I came back, and it's not that I really didn't enjoy it. It wasn't really me. So I came back from London International City, year 2000. I seen this international, and I came back to Monaco, small, very local at the time still, and sitting in an office and trading beef on phones. It wasn't really for me, but I gave it my best shot. I gave it my best shot, and I said to my dad, at the end of the day, this is not for me. But I loved the industry, and the industry was the beef industry. And the industry at the time was totally different than what it is today. The beef industry was very much commodity driven. Commodity just means price versus yield of carcass and muscle and fat. You could sell petrol, beef, veal, pork. It was commodity. But then I said we should add value. We should add value to this business, and it was a good moment. It was a good time. And so I started looking around, and isn't there anything to do in the beef industry that's a bit more creative, a bit more glamorous, a bit more me, and still keeping the dad happy? Because I had to keep also, a very political situation. And so I said to myself, why don't I try to find beef that's actually more valuable, more exotic, more high quality, more luxury. I turned around to the United States and I started going and looking for beef that was exceptional. So that's how it all started. I started by creating added value and by convincing American packers and then Australian packers and then now Namibian packers to actually give us the product, and that we would try to create a market for it within Europe. And that's exactly what happened. European Commission allowed US beef in 2008. So from 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, we went all over the world and secured the best beef packers. I was flying every 3 times a year all over the world to make sure that I would get the beef, because I was so scared that my competitors would come, the big importers. At the time, it was only Argentina really bringing the beef in. And I gave it my best bet. And what happened was, once we were bringing all the beef in, nobody would buy it. Nobody would buy it because the beef was too expensive. People would not understand what it means to have grain feeding, what it means to have breed, what it means to have an Angus, what's the difference between Angus, Black Angus, Wagyu, feedlot. It's pretty technical. So the first thing to do was to convince the distributors to buy the beef from us, but nobody would buy it. So we would have stock of beef, and I was going nuts. Why wouldn't they buy it? It's the best beef in the world. So what happened was I had to make my own restaurants to be able to showcase the beef, so that I would convince distributors to buy the beef because they would eat it. And that's why Beefbar was born. It was born from a need of my beef company to find a solution for my beef problem. But nobody knows this. So the first beef bar was actually the one in Monaco, the one in Fontvieille, opened in 2005, so it's 20 years old today. Two friends of mine had the location, and one was doing fish. They told me, Ricky, I think you do beef, don't you? And I said, yes, I do beef. Why don't we buy the restaurant next door? I have Capitano, why don't we do beef bar? We put them together and then we do it. And it was born really out of sheer luck. And I enjoyed the opening and the story and the designing and the creativity so much that I said to myself, oh my God, there's really something I should do here because I have the product. I have now the restaurants. I mean, there's something really that we should be looking into. And that's how it really started. It started in 2005. But you know, in Monaco at the time, in 2005, and I keep saying this to a lot of people, there was nothing really. There were very good French Michelin-starred restaurants playing on the high gastronomy. And then you had a lot of family-owned Italian restaurants. 2005, that was really most of the market within the Principality. There was, you know, the rich French Michelin and then the Italian easy, more accessible. So there was a gap, and it was a good timing. 2005 was still the internet boom. It was the beginning of social media, internet, all of that, where brands were becoming lifestyle. And so I thought, because Monaco is so cosmopolitan, it would have been very intelligent or interesting to start bringing or creating brands from Monaco, within Monaco, because, you know, Monaco makes you dream. And the best thing you have today is this aura, this reputation, this country actually reflects internationally. And I did consider it a bit free advertising, to be honest with you, in the beginning, because you said, if you look at the brand, Beefbar, for example, it says born in Monte Carlo as a tagline. So the idea was, okay, let's create something. It was a win-win situation, and I really enjoyed it. But that was the beginning, 2005. I didn't know where I was heading. The aim really was to make one, to educate the beef distributors to come and try it, and to bring the chefs from all over the world to come and try it. We have special ovens, we had special techniques. I hired amazing chefs, which are still here with me today. We took the team from Robuchon here in Monaco. We really went all the way, but the focus was really on the produce and on the education. It wasn't really on, let's make it an international brand. Not in 2005, at least, no. I said to myself, I think Monaco has a virgin market by itself. So instead of going international, let's first focus on Monaco and let's try to get a bit more locations within the Principality, making it Italian, making it Chinese, making another Italian, making it French, making it Japanese, making it a fast food, making a burger place, making a delivery system. You know, there's a lot of things missing in Monaco in this industry. And I really got a passion for it, and I was in a good moment, a good age of my life as well. The idea was to really do the maximum within the Principality. And that was until 2010. And then, because of the success, people started coming to us and saying, why don't you think of expanding elsewhere? I was very scared to expand elsewhere because, you know, Monaco is my home. I know those people, I know how the mentality. I know it's not an easy place, Monaco, but it's a lot easier for somebody like me who's born here, who's lived here, to understand the market. But it's as hard for me to understand another market, let alone a big capital. I was very scared. And I did not think the brand was ready. I didn't think it had enough conceptualization for it to be able to be a success. So I had to work a lot on it. And I was seeing a lot of competitors coming because the beef then started to work. So we started selling the beef, obviously. And then through time, we decided the rollout plan. Little by little, I changed the concept even more and more, leaving the steaks, the big steaks, and this American style cowboy idea, all of that. It really wasn't me, and I wanted to turn it much more into a feminine, more shareable, more delicate, more kind of Asian concept. And that really took off. And it's really took off. And then, you know how it is, you start, grow, and then with time, you grow. I think the big leap, the big differences were made when we opened Paris in Le Carré d'Or. It's Avenue Montaigne with Rue du Bocador, all that area. I have a restaurant called Beefbar, which is a pretty tacky name, right? It's not such an elegant name at the time, but I didn't want to change it because it's a great name if you think about it, but maybe not in Avenue Montaigne at the time. And I started giving them tacos and kebabs. It was a big risk. But then we played around with contrasts. What I like about that brand is that it's made of luxurious contrasts. So we have this beautiful setting with this amazing quality, but then you contrast it with a very simple street food recipe, which people really like because, you know, new codes of luxury have changed. I keep saying this, but if you think that in 2005, Chanel would never have done a sneakers, Prada would never have done a backpack, Gucci would have never done a tracksuit, you know. This is the way the evolution of fashion is going and food is going. And I was scared, but at the same time I said, we need to risk it, we need to try it. If it works in Paris, in that area, then we might stand a chance to actually evolve all over the world. And it worked. The idea is really to instead of creating new brands, is also to find local brands that have a potential. Then you just take away some dust, you polish them, you make them look good, you rebrand them, and then you roll them out. And that's really what I like to do. There's a big cultural evolution where cuisines mix a lot more, which I think is very, very interesting as well. I'm not talking about fusion. I'm talking about how cultures with time, with decades, with cuisines have actually enriched into other people's cultures. So I think that we're going to discover a lot more flavors that are going to come up, but they're not going to be tacky. They're going to be still thought through and elegant. I think that's going to be very interesting. But I think there's a return where restaurants will be restaurants. That was one of the biggest honors for me, is to know indirectly, because he would never tell me, that he was very proud of what we did. It wasn't easy because I'm totally different. I come from a different mindset, background, everything you want to put it, It wasn't the easiest moment for me, but then he's so proud, and my family's so proud of what we achieved all together. That gives me a sense of, pride.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching NEWS.MC, your English rendezvous on Monaco Info. Discover more interviews and stories on our websites, NEWS.MC and MonacoInfo.com. This show was brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties.